Thank you for staying with us here on Joy News. It's time for the big sports package. And we begin with that one that has been making the rounds for some hours now. Now, the head coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Dr. Prosper Ogum, has resigned from the club following a meeting with the management team earlier today. Now, the coach is reported to be unhappy with the departure of some of his key players and the lack of transfer activity within the club ahead of the start of next season. Do remember that Prosper Ogum won the Ghana Premier League with Kumasi Asante Kotoko and also emerged Men's Coach of the Year at the recently held Ghana Football Awards. Well, Joy Sports' Razak Musbao has been taking a look at his legacy and has more on this.
Head coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Prosper Nate, has resigned from the club following a meeting between management and the technical body earlier today in Kumasi. Joy Sports understands the coach tendered his resignation due to displeasure with the departure of some of his key players and the seeming lack of transfer activity in the club ahead of the start of next season. Ogum is expected to be without his key players, Fabio Gama, who failed to renew his contract, Salifu Mudasiru, who has joined Moldovan giant FC Sheriff Tiraspol, and Richmond Lamte, who has been banned by the Ghana Football Association for his involvement in the Ashanti Gold Inter-Allies match-fixing scandal. The coach is also set to lose his goal poacher Frank Etuga Imbella to Italian side Udinese Calcio ahead of next season. Ogum is also believed to have been unsettled with management's proposal to acquire a new technical director to offer support and guidance, especially in the club's CAF Champions League campaign. The former WAFA trainer was appointed prior to the start of the 2021-22 Ghana Premier League season and led the club to their first league title in 8 years. He amassed 67 points from 34 games to beat Midiama to the league title. Despite earlier confirming to having received offers from clubs abroad, Coach Ogum's next destination is unknown. Asante Kotoko will participate in this year's CAF Champions League and is determined to make an impact after many failed attempts. But the question remains, who will lead the Porcupine Warriors to battle come next season?
Big question indeed, and all of our social media handles have been buzzing with a lot of activity, especially the early activity on the Joy Sports GH Twitter handle today, where the subject was joined by over 1,700 people. Well, let's take a quick look at the legacy that Dr. Prosper Ogum left on the Porcupine Warriors just within the space of 1 year. This special report was put together by Joy Sports' Lawrence Kwekubedu.
Not so many coaches get an opportunity to lead a club as big as Asante Kotoko in the Ghana Premier League. But for Prosper Ogum Nate, the signs were clear for him after an impressive work with WAFA. Nicknamed Obenfo, Prosper was named as the new head coach of the Porcupine Warriors after a season that the team missed out on the league title to Accra House of Folk by just 4 points. On his side, he had just led WAFA to a historic third-place finish in the Premier League, a feat that only solidified Kotoko's chase for him. With Kotoko undergoing their preseason in Dubai, there were lots of high hopes for the team going into the 2021-22 season. With quite a number of additions and a new face on the touchline, the team looked set and ready to fight for pride, a title they had missed since 2013-14 season. Prosper's early season magic and the rapport with his players put Kotoko on the right path and eventually marked them the favourite for the title tag even before the end of the first round of the season. His blend of experience and new faces were attributes fans loved about him, and the fact he was achieving results on the field also saw him become a fan's favourite at the Baba Yara Stadium. The Kumasi-based side ended the season with 67 points, amassing 36 points at home and 31 points away from home. Under Prosper, Kotoko travelled to Doma to beat Ediana for the first time in their history at the Nana Ajimanbedu the First Stadium. He was also the mastermind behind the club's first ever win over WAFA in Sogakope. Before him, Kotoko had failed to beat Hearts in Kumasi since 2012, but a 1-0 win in April ended that winless run. As mentioned earlier, he had the privilege to become the first coach to win the league title for the club since 2013-2014. Prosper would have been a major part of the team's campaign in Africa next season, but he resigning now means the club will have to turn attention to other options to lead them as they make a return to continental football. It may just be one season as the gaffer of the club, but Prosper Ogum has definitely left a good impression in the minds of the Porcupines.
Well, good impressions on the minds of the Porcupine faithful. Now, let's quickly take a look at the statistics at the Porcupine Warriors over that period that, he served there. Now, so he won Asante Kotoko their first Ghana Premier League title since the year 2014, and that's very, very significant and important to note. Now, his Asante Kotoko side picked up the most points, 31, on the road to the 2021-2022 season. And also, his Asante Kotoko team scored the most goals, which is 48 goals, and conceded the least, which is 20, in the 2021-2022 season. So joining us via Zoom to do some more analysis on this resignation is a seasoned sports analyst, Osei Osubempa. He'll be joining us very shortly, but let me add a bit more before we get on Zoom now, shall we? Now, he became the first Asante Kotoko manager to beat Accra Hearts of Oak at the Babara Stadium since the year 2012. Very, very significant indeed. Now, he also guided Asante Kotoko to beat Aduana FC at Doma for the very first time. He led Asante Kotoko to victory against Wafa in Sogakope for the first time as well. So, a couple of firsts for Prosper Ogum, and definitely there is a lot that the Kumasi Asante Kotoko family would miss him. Let's quickly now go on to Zoom and have the conversation, and a bit of an extended one, with Osei Osubempa. He is a seasoned football analyst, and he'll be letting us into what others are thinking, after this has happened, especially from other angles of the very big football mix. All right, so would try our best to get re-established contact with him, and then we can, do this. Let's just quickly get on some more football action here. And the Ghana FA has taken a decision to organize a play-off to replace Ashanti Gold next season. Now, some clubs have protested against this decision, and here is the summary. So there we go. Article 39 empowers the Executive Council. All right, so basically, Article 39 empowers the Executive Council of the Ghana FA to have the following powers. That is, to pass decisions on all cases that do not come within the sphere of responsibility of Congress or are not reserved for other bodies by law or under these statutes. Now, in the case of Teshiman 11 Wonders, this is the basis on which they want to, replace Ashanti Gold. Now, the decision by the FA to demote Ashanti Gold automatically translates into the fact that Ashanti Gold have been relegated from the Ghana Premier League at the end of the 2021-2022 season. Consequently, 11 Wonders do not and cannot form a part of the bottom three clubs on the Premier League table after week 34 of the standings. Okay. Now, let's also take a look at Ebusuan Dwarf's basis to replace Ashanti Gold. Now, the club that lies on top of the relegated clubs in the division or zone at the end of the league gains automatic promotion in the event of a decision by an FA. Now, Dreams FC's demotion, can we stay with that a little bit, please? Okay. We'd have to go back to that initial slide. So we'll go back to that initial slide and go over it again. So we're going over it again. The club that lies on top of the relegated clubs in the division or zone at the end of the league gains automatic promotion in the event of a decision by an FA judicial body that reduces the number of the non-relegated clubs. Would want to stay there a little bit until I finish. Thank you. So let's quickly... let's quickly take a look at this. Now, a demotion or relegation, what is the difference? Now, the reason why we're bringing this up is the fact that the FA's spokesperson had an earlier interview and spoke clearly about the fact that this was not a relegation and that they had been taken out of the league. So there were there was a certain level of difference regarding what would be done in getting a replacement. You know, Ashanti Gold did not get relegated through the competition. They were demoted out of a decision that was taken by one of the bodies under the FA because of what they were engaged in. So let's just quickly take a look at this one. Now, Article 7 talks about the number of clubs, that is the champion and the demotion. Now, Clause 2 says at the end of a competition, the last 3 clubs on the league table shall be automatically demoted to the Division 1 league. The champion club from each of the 3 zones in the Division 1 league shall automatically be promoted to replace the demoted clubs in the Premier League. All right. Okay. So this basically, you know, is the explanation. And the Ghana FA is saying that they will have their own format. And it's now been confirmed that a playoff will be organized between the clubs that all placed second in the playoffs, especially within the Division 1 you know, league. So all these 4 clubs will play, and then it will be determined to see who will make it to fill the place of Ashanti Gold. Well, Mr. Osei Usubempa has joined us on phone for some more. Thank you very much for making it this evening. Well, for many people, this sudden exit will come as a very big shock and will also ruffle the feathers a little bit, especially considering the fact that Asante Kotoko did great and are looking good going into, and we're supposed to be looking good going into the next season.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, good evening and good evening to your listening. Yeah, it came as quite shocking. I never expected it. I was just at work, and then suddenly I had few phone calls from people asking me whether I've heard the news, and I said no. So I went to various websites and also called some few people. And that's exactly what we're hearing, that the coach has resigned. The reasons, my text have revealed so many reasons why the coach decided at this time to resign. And in fact, had actually intended to do so during the course of the season before the league ended. But he was prevailed upon by some people, and also by his own decision that he realized that he had fallen so much in love with the Kotoko supporters, who had also returned the similar gestures, and therefore he didn't want to disappoint the fans during the period of the league. The reason why he held on till now, but he got to a point where he thought, as of today, he wasn't ready to continue serving the club anymore for various reasons.
Now, immediately everybody is now focusing on who will replace him. He sure has made big shoes at Asante Kotoko because of the kind of record that he's been able to set within this very short period of time. Who replaces him, and what will it look like for Asante Kotoko going into Africa, which has been a problematic spot over the last few seasons?
I'm not exactly sure who they are thinking of replacing him. My understanding is that the coach made comments verbally that he was going to resign. As of now, I don't think there's any paperwork to that effect, which makes it more formal that I've put in ABC letter indicating that I've resigned. When that was said, there were among some senior officers in Kotoko, senior members of the Kotoko family, who thought that they could prevail on the coach to maybe rescind the decision since it wasn't formally communicated. But before those senior officers could say jack, the news had actually, quote unquote, been confirmed by the Kotoko management, obviously meaning that the management private didn't also want him to stay on. So now it has become very difficult, even if the coach is prevailed upon to stay, how he's going to stay, since the resignation has actually, information about the resignation was actually, quote unquote, leaked by officials of Asante Kotoko, obviously the management team. And that makes it very difficult. It doesn't matter who replaces him. The point is that if you go through these challenges over the last couple of years and then suddenly you are able to find a good team somehow that is able to compete very well at the local level and probably had the potential to do even much better than they did previously at the international level. And then suddenly a coach resigns, players are leaving left, right, and center, being sold. Then it means that you are going backwards. It doesn't matter which coach comes in. you are always at the process of rebuilding, and that will not help the forward matter of Asante Kotoko. My understanding and my sources indicate that the coach, one, felt quite disrespected by the management team, precisely by the CEO of the club, Nana Amponsa, that there were so many major decisions that were taken without his consent or even without his information, his knowledge. For example, recently, 3 players went on trial in Moldova. According to my sources, the coach claimed he wasn't aware. He only heard it in the media that the players have left. And I'm sure the players also called and informed him. As a coach, I'm sure they will call and inform us to why and who made the arrangement. The coach said he wasn't aware. Then players whose contracts were being renewed, whose contracts were supposed to be renewed that are not being renewed. And then there were also rumors that the coach made a list of players that he thinks probably will be replacement for those who are departing, and also as a way of strengthening the team going into next year. Management have not done anything about it, yet they go around, quote unquote, trying to get other players that the coach didn't recommend, and he thought that he was just being disrespected, and therefore it was one of the reasons why he thought that the marriage of Kotoko must come to an end. And so these are some of the reasons, according to my sources,
interesting.
Based on what the coach is telling my sources.
Interesting stuff. Well, we're going to make more time to talk about this because obviously Asante Kotoko will have major decisions to make as they prepare themselves for the season and by extension the competition in Africa. Thank you so much for the time. Osei Usubempa is a senior football analyst joining us with some information about this sudden resignation by Dr. Prosper Ogum, who won the league with Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Let's go.